Welcome to Caught Offside TV, a transfer exchange show production. I'm your host, Kieron Stewart. We've got a banging show for you today. Genuinely excited about this one, being an Arsenal fan, of course. Joining me, first of all, is former Birmingham, Bolton, Arsenal, and England U21 midfielder. It's Fabrice Muamba. How you doing, Fabrice?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me, Kieron.
Of course, good to have you here. Also joining me on the show is host and founder of the Latte Firm, which was shortlisted for Best New Content Creator in 2021 Football Content Award. It's Faisal Khan. How you doing, Faisal?
I'm really well, Kieron. Thanks for having me on.
It's cool. And to round off our excellent panel of guests is freelance sports journalist whose articles are featured in the Times, 442 and the Guardian, to name a few. It's Freddie Paxton. How you doing, Freddie?
Very well, thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Right, let's get to it. I'm going to go to you first of all, Freddie. Arsenal squad is, some would say, threadbare, quite thin, to say the least. They definitely need to bring in reinforcements, especially if they're going to be in Europe, hopefully next season. Who are you hearing that Arsenal are linked with, or that have serious legs to it?
Well, I think the obvious place to start is at centre forward, isn't it? Because everybody knows that that's a pressing need for us now, obviously with Aubameyang leaving in January and Lacazette's contract situation and age factoring into that as well. I think most of us would have seen in recent days more talk about the Benfica forward, Darwin Núñez. Really interesting profile of player, actually. Someone that I'm not going to claim to be an expert on, but have definitely seen play a good few times and have tried to take a little bit more notice of, especially as I saw in January that West Ham were heavily interested in him. And I could see that, being a feasible option just for a number of reasons, really. When you look at his age, the profile fits in terms of the fact that he's 22. Arteta obviously notoriously building a young, exciting squad, and so he fits in that way. And also just the profile of player, he's a real focal point up front, knows where the goal is. He's got a great record this season, scored a good number of goals. I think he's about 6'1", so really provides a bit of a physical presence, but not exactly a big lump up front. But someone that seems technically sound and knows where the goal is and would fit in quite well, I think. And so that one for me, I think, seems to have legs, and I can imagine that's a feasible option for Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very good player. Very highly rated as well. Fabrice, what type of striker do you think Arsenal should be going for? They've currently got Lacazette in there. It's good on the ball at the moment. He's not the goal-scoring, free-scoring striker that we thought we would potentially have. But the job that he's doing now is actually his goal contributions are up there. Like with ratios, it's like I think it's 1 in 2 for his goal contributions. What type of striker do you think Arsenal should go for?
Well, if you look at the centre forward at the moment, you've got Lacazette, who like to come for the ball, doesn't really give you that run behind. You've got Pepe, who's an out like winger. You've got Nketiah, he's a hit and miss, not being disrespectful to the lads, but he's not really a finishing article. Martinelli, who's the one that you think, he can do a bit, but he does it in a consistent basis. But if you're going to get somebody, you can have to put the money where your mouth is, and centre forward are not cheap at the moment. And those are the positions where you get you into a very good position in the league in terms of finishing the Champions League, in terms of you attracting bigger player, bigger name. And you can have to go out and spend cash, You got to give credit to Arteta, because since the departure of Aubameyang, it's almost like everybody is contributing very well in terms of that goal position way, So if you're going to go for centre forward, you kind of have to get a finishing article. Somebody, I don't think Arteta want to manage an experienced player. From looking at it from outside, they want to get somebody who's in his early 30 that he needs to know. He wants somebody who's in early 20 that he can control, in a sense that he is under Arteta's thumb. He can be able to add something to the group rather than take his someone to the group, and he will grow to the club like that. You don't see them being something out ordinary. For me, Arsenal is about getting somebody who can add something to the team. They've got a good group right now. Going right now. They've got a few lads who are on loan as well, who you think might come in. Bolongin, I think he is one of the big where you think he has a chance to play for Arsenal, but he has to prove himself out there before he get that opportunity. So Arteta has a way. He has a nice problem because everything so far is working so well in terms of it looked like they're gonna get that 4th position, depending on how they turn the next 4-5 games. But everything everything seemed like he's going in the right direction. So an experienced centre forward who is not too old in his early mid 20, 25, 26 would be a great addition for Arsenal squad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Faisal, some would say Arsenal need more than one striker. Do you think it's a case of big man, little man, one pacey, one a bit of a brute, or what do you think Arsenal need to bring in up front?
Yeah, you're right. I think we lack depth up top. When you look at Lacazette as our main forward, he's not the most prolific goal scorer. He's doing well in terms of dropping deep and allowing the wide players to make those runs in behind. And Emil Smith-Rowe talked about him being a leader in the dressing room, which is important when you've got such a young profile of squad. In terms of incomings, I think the chaps have already mentioned it. We need to get that elite number 9, someone who's going to elevate this team to the level that we want to be, that prolific goal scorer in front of goal, who can link up play. I'm talking someone like a Van Persie, a prime Van Persie, in his last sort of 2 years, last year with Arsenal, first year with United. So that sort of ability, that sort of caliber. But I think we do need variance. I think to have someone quick, pacey, who loves running in behind, playing on the shoulder of the centre back, options, depth, really, really important if you want to compete for those top 4 places again, and if you want to go for the biggest titles. So I think Progress would be the main man, and he's going to be expensive, but I think having 1 or 2 additional strikers as options, because look, let's face it, Fabrice has said Nketiah, he's not quite there. I've got a personal feeling on Nketiah. I don't think he should be at Arsenal. Balogun looks raw, looks promising, but he's just not quite ready to sort of lead the Arsenal team. And then when you look at Nico Pepe and Martinelli, they're better played out wide. They're not centre forwards for me. So yeah, we definitely need one main man, but maybe 1 or 2 in the wings to come in behind.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean. Freddie, the guys both spoken about Balogun there. How do Arsenal make sure that with the talent that he's got, that they're not blocking his path, but still making sure that there's a competitive edge in the team and they're moving forward by bringing in a decent player?
Yeah, it's difficult, and it's always difficult with these players because, first of all, if you're going to send them on loan, you have to find absolutely the right loan. You look at what Arsenal tried to do, for example, with Serge Gnabry a few years ago, slightly different, but, tried to give him that experience, sent him to West Brom, couldn't get a game under Tony Pulis, but then a couple of years later, he's flying high in the Bundesliga at Bayern Munich. So you really have to get the loan spot on, and it's quite difficult to do. Again, the club tried to do it with Nketiah before when they sent him to Leeds, and just, he didn't really do much there. Again, Faisal, I agree with you as well. I'm not really sure about Nketiah at Arsenal, but with regard to Balogun, I think they're trying the same thing. They're trying to give him a bit of exposure, but it's the kind of exposure that they can't really afford to give him at Arsenal at the moment, because we're in a position now where we're in a seriously good position to potentially get into that top 4 again. And so, can you risk giving too many minutes to these young, raw, unproven players? So I think there's a real dilemma come the summer with regard to what they want to do with him, and also the player factors into it as well, because there was a time when actually he was seriously considering leaving the club, and there was all kinds of interest from different teams being touted to maybe want him, but Arteta ultimately managed to convince him to stay. So I'm sure he does have high hopes for Balogun. But it's a really fine line that they're going to have to tread. And as you say, if we're looking for a real, high-profile centre forward to come in this summer, which everybody expects us to sign, it's obviously going to make his path even more unclear. So it's very interesting to see how Arteta approaches that come the new season.
Yeah, he's done well with some of the youngsters at the moment, but I mean that centre forward position is just slightly different. It's such an important position. Fabrice, we've seen a togetherness at Arsenal at the moment, which we haven't probably seen it in years. How imperative is it that they make sure that the players that they do bring in don't mess that up at the moment?
I think Arteta, being at the club himself, knowing the history of the club, and also being in a club like Man City, see what they've done in terms of their togetherness, how much success they got out of it. And he wants to replicate that with Arsenal. And you can see there's a lot of trade with Arsenal, the way they are together and the way Man City are. There's a lot of trade you can see, And you got to give credit to Arsenal because to Arteta, he, from that first game of the season away to Brentford to where they are now, that's unbelievable achievement. You know, if you recall after the game, people thinking top four is out the hand. You know, now they're sitting, you know, fourth in the league with 54 points, with a game in hand behind Chelsea or game in hand behind Liverpool. That conversation wasn't happening come December, you know. But him and his backroom staff, they worked very hard to make sure that. And also, you can see Arteta doesn't mess around. If you're not part of the room, he's happy to let it go. For even him to decide whatever the situation with Aubameyang, to let Aubameyang go, where you feel like he was the go-to guy. No, he gone, no problem at all. Thank you very much for your service. Arteta, Lacazette step up in the play, and he's been doing really well. And what I really like is that, you know, how he is getting the best out of Saka, the Argentinian, the number 10 from Real Madrid. What's his name again?
Odegaard.
Yeah. He looks like they are very. As I said, if you look at the team, look at Arsenal front four, look at Man City front four, they're just the same. Man City front four, they're just more expensive than Arsenal front four. They have the same height. They're not the tallest. They are flexible in terms of their position, in terms of they don't play as a set position. They all work together, and you have to work like that, and that's why you're getting a success. And it's been very, very proven that you've seen it every single week.
You did a bit of coaching down at Man City, didn't you? How much have you seen that Arteta's bringing in from Man City, or has he adapted it slightly? How close is it to what he was doing at Man City, what he's doing at Arsenal?
What you have with Pep has got probably 4 or 5 guys who work with the team in separate group, and then from that group they will spend probably 45 minutes in the classroom learning all the tactical stuff, and they'll go outside and do and you see similar to Arsenal. You know, if you see his backroom stuff, you got the guy who used to be at Man United, and then you've got Steve, who used to be with David Moyes. Those experienced guys, so he knows what he wants to be around, who he wants to be around. And as I said, for me this season, the best game I see Arsenal play, it was the first 45 minutes of the game against Man City at Etihad. That first 45 minutes, Man City had no clue what to do with Arsenal, and that shows that if that's the standard, and if they can bring that to next season and carry that to play a 30 game like that, Arsenal have a very good chance to finish even higher than 4th position, because Arteta have laid the foundation, and you're part of the group. If you're not part of the group, you're out of it, and that's what you want to see. And if people need to buy by it, you know, and you sit in it's giving young players opportunity. And you're gonna have to play for Arsenal. You're gonna want to play for Arsenal. Hopefully, Champions League back to Arsenal, which means you get exposure, which means Arsenal likely to buy more bigger player. You know, so it's all there for them to take it to the next level.
Yeah, no, definitely. Faisal, there was a lot of uproar when Arteta got rid of Aubameyang. But it's clear it seems to have been the right decision for both parties, and he stamped his authority. Do you think that any of the other players have been looking around and seeing that he's just got rid of not only the top owner at the club, the captain, but the top goal scorer over the last few seasons, and thought, do you know what, I better buck my ideas up?
Yeah, do you know, I'm really glad that you asked me that, Kieron, because when Mikel Arteta first stepped into Arsenal, his very first interview, he talked about developing a culture, an environment where it was, you know, everyone was on the same train, same boat, same direction. Well, you know, use all the puns there are. And you've seen how he's done that. He's slowly taken certain individuals out of the squad, let them go, paid them off in some circumstances, sold them in others, maybe loaned 1 or 2 out. And when Aubameyang was the last to sort of go, there was obviously uproar in the Arsenal fan base because he was such a prolific goal scorer, led us to our trophy a couple of years ago at Wembley under Mikel Arteta. And he, of course, his goal scoring record has been fabulous. But let's not forget, the last sort of 6 to 12 months in an Arsenal shirt hasn't been great for Aubameyang. He was largely out of form, quite isolated when he was playing out wide, and it just wasn't working out. And sometimes, Kieron, a player just needs a change in environment. You know, as Arsenal fans, we've got no ill feeling towards him. He served us well, but to break the club rules when you're the club captain and you're earning the most at the club, to break the rules repeatedly, there's got to come a point where the manager says, look, it's my way or you're out. And unfortunately, he's paid that price. And I think, to answer your question, yeah, I do think the players look at Arteta and think, you know what? We have to be fully behind this guy. And if we don't go his way, then we could also face being sort of shipped out. So, look, I love Arteta for it. At the time, I was anxious because we only had Lacazette and we only had Nketiah. But now looking back, it's worked out for Aubameyang. He's having a wonderful, wonderful time in Spain. And obviously it's working out for us because we're getting the results and we're scoring goals and creating more opportunities. So sometimes you need that natural break, and hopefully it's going to set us up for a big summer.
Faisal, would you agree, is that this Aubameyang situation, we really come to face it straight after signing a new contract? Because I think the drama started the moment he signed his new contract. That's when drama started.
Yeah, something happened, Fabrice. I mean, obviously, look, he signed a new contract at a time when we wanted him to sign a new contract. And of course, he'd led us to an FA Cup. Then, of course, the Community Shield win against Liverpool. It was the right thing to do at the time. And we gave him a lot of money because we had other players at the club who were commanding so much money. Then Arsenal fell into the trap that we've always had where we give our best players or high paid players the captain's armband. And he just didn't live up to it. Maybe the pressure, maybe life away from football. There was rumors about his mother being sick and all that sort of stuff. He had malaria, he had COVID. These things really impact a player's mentality. And the other thing, Aubameyang's a showman, right? The rapport that he has with fans, he's happiest when there are fans in the stadium and he's showing his ability and he loves to celebrate with the fans. Playing in empty stadiums just wasn't his thing. So I think a number of things just didn't work out for him. Mikel was trying to learn a lot about the squad as well. He was tinkering with the formation. He was playing Aubameyang out wide, playing him up top centrally. I think he just fell out of love with Arsenal and London. It just wasn't working for him. And yeah, you're right. I think ever since that contract, ever since that cup win, something went wrong. But of course, we'll never know, I suppose.
Yeah. Freddie, do you think that potentially getting rid of Aubameyang also had an impact on the culture change of the fans as well? Because I've seen a slight shift in that way, because it's not his own fault, but he can be a decisive character where he's quite out there, he's late, and some people say he can be late because he's banging in goals. Some people say he's the captain, he's got to be sticking by it. But I feel like there's been a slight shift. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the way that it was dealt with by the club, although somewhat controversial, I think, look, Arsenal fans for many years have witnessed managers that a lot of us thought, especially like Wenger's later years and, the Emery era after that, where players got away with too much. Maybe there was a lack of discipline around the club. Maybe there was, not enough kind of pride in who they should be representing, or that feeling of playing for Arsenal. And so the way that Arteta's dealt with the Aubameyang situation, I think it filled people. Okay, it wasn't ideal to have that all happening so publicly, but there was this kind of feeling like this guy really does care about the standard that he's setting at the club. As Fabrice and Faisal have said already, if you're not on board with it, then you're out. And it kind of creates this feeling. It's like this siege mentality. It's almost like us against the world, we're building something here. There's a project. If you're not going to fully buy into it, we don't want you here. And those who do fully buy into it can stay and hopefully enjoy the fruits of our labor. And that's what's happening. And I think, Arsenal fans were looking at the squad at the end of the January window thinking this is a huge risk because we're now very thin. We've lost a very experienced player and it's all happened very publicly. But if we can get by to the summer and somehow get in the Champions League and, the team show that they really want it, this could be something special and that could look like a real masterstroke. And that's kind of what's happening. Now the team are playing really well. We're on the way, hopefully, to a fourth place finish. I really don't want to jinx it, but, are doing really well.
Right.
I'm really
two now.
Yeah, and the players are really buying into it, and you can see that they're all very together. Again, it's what you guys have touched upon. Not really seen an Arsenal squad like this in a long, long time, where they all seem so united, and obviously that then rubs off on the fans as well. So at the moment, it's looking like the right decision was made, and again, fingers crossed that we're still saying the same thing come the end of May.
But Kieron, I'll tell you something else, man. The criticism we're getting for celebrating wins and celebrating goals and all that sort of jazz.
I was going to come on to that, yeah.
Sorry, man, but
no, it's good.
people are taking note, right? They are seeing this Arsenal squad, the youngest squad in the league. They're seeing this coach who's never coached before, the youngest manager in the league, and we are doing bits. You know, with the camaraderie between the team, the rapport we've got with our fans. Arsenal fans used to be divided, but all of a sudden, you know, 99% of us are with Mikel, and the Arsenal are coming, and there's nothing these teams or clubs can do to stop us, and they hate that. And so
I love it.
yeah,
I love being hated. I love being hated again,
Yeah,
because before they didn't care. They were taking the mick out of us. Now we're hated for a reason, because they're scared. They're scared.
That's it. Love to see it.
You love to see it. Fabrice, did you ever get accused of over celebrating in your day?
I didn't score many goals. So I couldn't celebrate. I can't hear you. When you're in that moment where a lot of things against you, and things turn around and things start to go for you, you have to enjoy it, because that's why they will play the game for you. You have to enjoy the success because you work hard for it. Because people out there, they want you to fail. And so many people at the moment right now, they're happy that Man United are not doing particularly well, and people are happy that Arsenal are doing well. So there will come the time where United turn things around. United fans will be happy again, and you know, a lot of things happen. So when your teams are particularly moving in the right direction, and it seems like Arsenal are moving in the right direction, they've got the right men in the chair, they've got a squad who's doing particularly well. You have to celebrate. If you have to be optimistic about the future, because as I said before in the beginning of the show, is that I wasn't sure about Arteta, especially after that first game against Brentford. I'm thinking this is a tough one. This is going to be a long season. But look at them. Look at them now. Look how things have turned out to be now. So he got them to play the right football, entertaining football. They play really well. Very much in line to what Arsenal's all about. You know, very much in line to the one-touch football, the interchange between the line, you're finding the space in midfield. That's what Arsenal's all about, and they're actually doing it without even really thinking too much about it. And just credit to Arteta and his backroom staff, the work that they've been doing, and the fan now buying to it. Because as I said before, I wasn't sure after that Brentford game. They're thinking this is gonna be a hell of a season for Arsenal, but November, December, they were incredible. January, so for me, I'm very much, I've said I'm very sure. I'm hoping I'm right, but I'm thinking Arsenal, that fourth spot is for them to lose. Really, I don't see anybody who's gonna come to Emirates outplay Arsenal. You know, the only team that outplay Arsenal is Man City and Liverpool. Those are the two teams have come to Emirates and have actually give Arsenal a real tough time. Not where they'll come to Arsenal, they'll beat Arsenal 6 or 4-0. No, it's actually, if they're going to win, it's 2-1, it's 1-0. It shows the gap is going to, you know, it's getting smaller, and then who knows what's going to happen next season.
Yeah. Freddie, another position that they potentially need is central midfield. What type of midfielder do you think they need to bring in? Because they've been playing Granit Xhaka at an 8. It seems slightly awkward, not as mobile as you want in the number 8. What type of midfielder do you think they need to bring in?
Yeah, well, I think Partey's filled, now that he's playing as well as he is, he's kind of filled the need that we had for that number 6. And so they're really looking for a partner in a more traditional number 8 sense, a more progressive player next to him that's a bit more comfortable higher up the pitch. And as you said, with Granit Xhaka, there's times this season, especially in recent weeks, where it looks like sometimes he's playing almost like, you know, behind the striker, because he is so far up the pitch, Xhaka. But, you know, as you said, a little bit laborious. He's quite slow. Doesn't really have a right foot, and so they'll be looking for somebody who's comfortable on the ball, who again is more of a traditional number 8 in that sense, and a player that keeps popping up is Ruben Neves. I know for sure that it's a player that Arteta admires. I know that it kind of divides opinion, because, you know, he's maybe not everybody's first pick, but if they're looking for somebody to come in and have an instant impact, somebody that they know and maybe can trust would hit the ground running, obviously because he knows the league. That's somebody that potentially, I think the club, I wouldn't be surprised if they start to look at again. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but they've definitely held interest in the past. You could say that about a lot of players, I'm sure, but they've definitely looked at him. I think he's one of those players as well that strangely feels like he's kind of been around forever. But Ruben Neves, if I'm not wrong, is only like 25 still. So he's still yet to enter his prime, been doing it at the top level for a while. And I just see him as that kind of as a more natural fit than somebody like Granit Xhaka, who obviously we're using more out of necessity at the moment. But that kind of player, I think, is what we'll be looking at.
Yeah, Faisal, I've seen there's been links with Ruben Neves. There's been links with Yuri Tillemans. Any of those two, or have you got your eye on another player?
I like both players. I'm not sure Ruben Neves is the player that will take Arsenal to the level where we want to be. I think he's very much a mid-table sort of Premier League player. He's a good player, but I just don't think he's that class of player that we need. I like Yuri Tillemans. I think defensively he can switch off. He's been guilty of that at Leicester. If we're talking gambles, I like Houssem Aouar at Lyon. I know that ship has come and gone, but I think he's a fabulous player. And I know he has this sort of off the pitch mood, temperament issues, but on the ball, beautiful. Breaks the lines beautifully. Very, very able with both feet. A lovely finesse about him. Likes to score goals. Top player. And I think if he's looking to prove himself, maybe Arsenal could be the club for him. But if we're looking more sort of close to home, if you've got big money, Jude Bellingham should be there. Declan Rice. These are the creme de la creme. I like Conor Gallagher as well at Palace.
Conor Gallagher.
I know he's on loan from Chelsea, but look, Chelsea can't play all these players and they might have to sell, right? So there's lots of players out there. I think it all comes down to the key sort of facts that Fabrice and Freddie have both mentioned. Arteta's building this squad with a particular profile of player. So the player needs to come in and almost pass an interview. He needs to be part of the culture. He needs to embrace what Arteta's building. He needs to want to play for the badge, as it were. So, I mean, look, I've got all my faith with him, but those would be some of my picks.
I think for me, I'll go. I mean, this is a hard one. Regardless of what happened to Chelsea, I think I'll go for Gallagher. I've seen the guy. I've seen
quality,
him. I've seen him. I've seen him on Monday against Man City. It was absolutely exceptional. You're like, how Chelsea let this guy go on loan? I don't understand that idea. It's ridiculous. But he put himself out there. He's everywhere in the pitch. Put his foot in. His timing, in terms of his timing in the box, he's up there. He's definitely up there. So, and I don't know how long his contract is with Chelsea, but I think you're gonna have to ask the question at some point because he's already had 2 seasons playing in the Premier League. With West Brom, Norwich, and now he's a Palace who's playing week in, week out. And if a club like Arsenal come knocking and say, "Listen, if Chelsea's not giving you the contract, we'll give you the contract," and you're gonna play for a team in London as well. It's a win-win situation. It's hard, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So I think for Jude, you got to throw the cash. If you want him, you got to have to pay.
He's a dream.
That is a dream.
A pipe dream, maybe.
Look at us just swooning. They're like, "Oh, Jude Bellingham!" Like
we've got about 50p to spend, and we're thinking about Jude Bellingham. It's great.
Personally, get the Champions League. That conversation might happen. That conversation to Gallagher might happen because what? If you tell Gallagher you want to stay at Crystal Palace, yes, but you're going to play the Premier League, or you want to come to Arsenal, you're going to play in the Premier League, you're going to play in the Champions League, you're going to play FA Cup, you're going to play Carling Cup. You have all these options. What do you want to do? That Champions League, it's a suite that everybody wants to have. So,
and you know what, Fabrice? He's got legs, man. He's not just about on the ball. Distance covered. He runs all day long, and that's the sort of player you want. That's the sort of player I think Arteta wants. Someone who can press and work hard off the ball.
Yeah, I remember watching him down at Charlton, and that was a few years ago, and he was awesome then. I was just like, who is this kid? My mate was like, it's Conor Gallagher, is on loan from Chelsea. It's like, another one Chelsea are loaning out. But he's just gone on leaps and bounds, gone to Swansea, West Brom, as Fabrice was saying, and now at Crystal Palace. And he's further up the pitch as well, getting goals, and he's now in the England team. So I think we should carry that on. And I'd definitely take a Conor Gallagher all day long. Before we go, I want to touch on one of our star players, Freddie. Arsenal, there's rumours that are going about that Arsenal are going to increase Bukayo Saka's contract to 125 grand a week. Fair price for the little Chile.
100%. I think you've got to give him what he wants. He's proven that he's not only worth holding on to just because he's a product of Hale End and has been at the club since he was 7. It's because he's one of the best players in the league, one of the most promising youngsters in world football. He knows what it means to play for Arsenal. He's really kind of representative of this new era that Arteta's bringing about. And I think you've got to give him what he wants. Arteta, one of his great strengths, and I know this from speaking to agents of players that have joined the club, is that he knows how to sell the project. And there's been many a player that have spoken to him, have been convinced to join over other potentially more lucrative offers. So I think it will be the same in this case when he's selling the project to players when maybe trying to extend contracts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easier as well when you've got a player like Saka who's already part of it and who really embodies what that whole project is, and he's got a chance to be the main man for many years to come. So I think, you know, especially if we get in the Champions League, I don't think it will take too much convincing. But, you know, regardless, I really just maybe it's blind optimism as an Arsenal fan, but even trying to separate myself from that, I just really can't see that Saka leaves, especially to a rival. I just think he will extend his contract.
Faisal, you're smiling up there. You feel like it's happening. There's no way he's going to Liverpool with the rumours that are going about. Not happening.
Hey, listen, the threat's always there, right? I'm smiling because, like all Arsenal fans, I love Bukayo Saka. Everything about him is so wholesome. You know, his personality, the way he plays on the pitch. He's such a nice boy. When I see him on TV, I sit there like a proud dad. Like, Bukayo, just come to me, man. I just want to give him a hug. But he's everything that's pure about football. You know, I love the way he plays. I love his, like I said, his personality, and what Arsenal have done with him from a very young age is fabulous. And I think, you know, without, you know, like Rio did that to Ole, give him a blank check, let him write down the numbers and just give it to him. That's what I feel like doing to Bukayo. But look, he's a young boy. He still has a lot to learn. He still has, you know, he's still going to develop physically, and he's going to, you know, with experience, become more intelligent. So he's not the finished article. And I think Arsenal should bear that in mind when they offer him a contract and give him. I mean, look, Fabrice is going to know much more about contracts and how they work, but give him something that he can work towards and give him something that gets bigger as he gets better and older. But for sure, Bukayo Saka, star boy, just love him, and I hope he stays for life.
Yeah, you know it. Fabrice, is there a danger that he could have too much too soon if Arsenal go silly and panic in giving him, say, 150 plus? Or is 125 grand a week fair for what he's done so far and the talent that he is?
No, listen, Kieron, Bukayo is level-headed kid. He seems like he doesn't know much about anything else but just playing football, you know. 20 years of age, he's represented England in every single age group, from the under 16 to the men's senior team. He's one of the players where, if you look at it in terms of the footballing side, it's a great for Arsenal because he comes from the academy. Mm-hmm. In the commercial side of it, it's great because he's a London boy and he's loved by everybody. So that's 2 and 2. You can't deny this, you know. And the more he plays for Arsenal, if Arsenal being exposed in the Champions League, his value keep going up and up and up commercially, because all of a sudden it's not just a Bukayo Saka of Arsenal, but it is international Bukayo Saka, you know. And what I like about this kid is just very humble. You don't hear anything bad about this. No, and nobody said a bad thing about this kid. And that's credit to his family and his background. You know, may not continue because he is an integral part of the Arsenal squad. If Arsenal want to go on to do really well, you know, it's only had 87 appearances for Arsenal since he's breaking to the first team, and he's only 20 years of age. So he's got another. I'm hoping, Brad, another 8 or 9 years to still be at Arsenal and to break many records and to stay there for a very, very long time, because he's a fabulous footballer with so much to give to the game and so much to offer, both on and off the field as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just about his value or the stock rising for a sell-on fee. It's potentially about his value and stock rising to lure in other big players as well that want to play with Saka as well. So it's not just about getting money for him, people. Stay away. All right? All right. On that note, that is all we have time for. I've had fun, quality show. Really enjoyed it tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, Fabrice.
Appreciate that, big man.
Thank you very much. No, of course. Thank you very much for joining us, Freddie.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
No, quality. And thank you very much for joining us, Faisal.
Always, man. Always a pleasure. And Fabrice, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, Freddie.
Great to meet you, Fabrice, yeah.
All right. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Make sure you go and follow Caught Offside TV, and make sure you follow KS1 TV. Peace out, people, and stay safe.